The mark of my dignity shall scar thy DNA. Resurrection! I interrupt my own planning to bring you this episode where, I'm just gonna do it just to do it, and we'll even hit quick play as we get into ill-fated character exclusive. Hey, my main character, just to kind of show why, one of the reasons why I play on Harbinger. So without further ado, Takushi-san knowledge, strength, charisma, every single stat check, second mystery, maybe, but definitely Takushi-san first. But hey, I'm gonna show you a thing that happens. And if nothing else, it's, it was fun for me to do. But as we get into it, I could literally just do anything I want in terms of what I want to do this video. So let's talk about other stuff. Let's talk about my game development. So, if you didn't already hear what I usually like to do for game development, it's that I usually like to plan things out. First, get everything on documentation, so that if I, for some reason, have to stop whatever I'm doing, I can come back and be like, oh, that's where I left off. And then it's easier to get back into. For me, at least, it's that this is my own process. After about, pretty much at least a few hours work of planning things out and, having a good idea of what, because this includes things like, me checking if, how I'm going to, I guess, market the game, even if it's not going to be a commercial project. I do want to think about the consumer or the customer first. That's the first and foremost thing. At the same time, I'm not going to be like, oh, what do you guys want? What does the customer want? Because, well, part of that is on the developer to figure that out. So right after that is the question of, okay, what do people like and what am I willing to make? What do I feel impassioned to make? Soon after that, again, this all takes a couple of hours because immediately I want to get into at least testing something. Sometimes it's the core mechanic of the game. Sometimes it's me writing the story out and seeing if it makes sense. Sometimes it's a mix of both. Sometimes it's, hey, what characters do I want to try and design and program in that I feel like need some, I don't know, I don't want to say representation, but what do I feel is not as much available on the market, but I feel is at least enough. There's enough demand for what I can supply, I guess, is the more correct way to, I guess, phrase the term. Also, oh yeah, Itotu, that's why I'm taking more damage. So right after that, again, whether that's making the character, whether that's, listening to a piece of commercial-free music that I can use as an asset, or, whether it's a game engine or a mechanic I want to try out, I usually work on that immediately, and then test it out myself, and then it's a loop of documentation, development, whatever it is, programming, whatever it might be, and then testing things out in-game, seeing if, the character that I'm using is feasible, seeing if the story I'm using is feasible, seeing if what I plan to use as a mechanic is something that I go, well, I don't actually like that, or, oh, that's actually interesting, let's try it out. I know I did this a lot for very, very small games that, again, you'll never see from me because some of them, obviously, I've canceled. Some of them I've put out anonymously and have kind of just basically run my own experiments. I feel comfortable enough to say that much. And some of them, I tried to make a commercial project, but decided that better energy would be spent using it for other things, I guess is the more accurate thing to say. Again, me talking about this is relevant to what you're seeing on screen because, well, the fact that I can be this laid back should be something in itself. Also, I started running a toilet ghost strat, meaning I've started running way less from toilet ghosts. I probably should not have done so here because I'm running Kick Haru, which severs suffer less. But if it's for this experience, I don't really mind it as much. And, it still didn't really matter. I'm on my second mystery with 20% Doom. Sometimes I start a Harbinger run and I have 20% Doom before my first investigation. So let that be a little bit of a threshold in terms of where we're at in terms of World of War stuff. But again, without further ado, if you're learning anything from this video, whether about me or otherwise, as long as you're not doing anything weird. Oh, that's right, I'm on medical history, right? No. Why did I get a cut? Was that a hasty aid into something? I'm going crazy. Well, either way, we're just gonna fight Miku here anyway. I could try and arrest her, although I didn't grab the handcuffs, so that's something I need to think about. But we'll just enter this doctor's office really quickly, get rid of this cut artery, while also picking up these painkillers. I don't need this prescription. I'm not even going to pick up the painkillers because I'm that lazy. And what is our threat level? Mansion high, so let's just police station mansion. Don't need to. Probably still going to. And away we go. But yeah, that's basically my development process. Now, certain things might happen in between. I might want to say something to, like, you know, the people I'm with, I might want to look into other games that I might be entering a certain genre, whether it's a roguelike, whether it's a fighting game, whether it is a small, even a small web type HTML type game that doesn't really have as much to its story or to its, I guess, the length of game that it can be played for, the length of the game. Relatively speaking, obviously, I will say this much: I have not put something on Steam because that is a commitment of resources that I am not willing to gamble on yet. Even though there have been more than a few projects where I probably should have gone in on. Again, a lot of my, I guess, life as a game developer has been mostly experimenting with things. Now, you could say, well, Jordan, that's just an excuse to not make a commercial project. And to some extent, you're right. I should have just been trying more for commercial projects and have had more confidence in myself. But I feel like now I've gotten a good grasp of what I feel does work and does not work. And I can now move forth with, again, more commercial projects, bigger projects than, again, a lot of my projects have been small in scope, I guess, is the at least bare minimum I'm willing to say. So, you might be saying, oh, Jordan, you're dying right here. Well, allow me to introduce you. The mark of my dignity shall scar thy DNA. Resurrection. Also, I'm scaring again. Well, I'm not scaring. It's perfectly fine. I have a guest next to me, too. But yeah, so that's why I'm not as worried right now. But yeah, in terms of my game development, that's the most I can say about that, because anything more would be basically me trying to just, you know, I probably shouldn't say as much if I were in a reality where I would like to say a lot more. Usually that doesn't go so well for developers. It's not a very common trend. Now, obviously, there's a difference between being confident and marketing something out there before the games come out and, you know, having actual confidence because you actually have a project that you're willing to show. I wouldn't, and I don't think I have yet, and if I have, it's been very few times, put out things, whether it's videos or streams on this channel, that are not exactly what they're marketing. There have been failures, I'll say that much, but not anything where I've outright, at that point, if I outright lie about something and put something out and it's an exact lie, that my life's over as a X whatever I plan to be as, so hey. Also, thankfully I hit all those kicks, because usually I don't believe in it, but yeah, there's nothing much else on that front. As for this channel, the same thing. Actually, those two are not the same, but I am willing to not mix. I usually don't like to mix my life in between things as well. I have a small candle, by the way, that has 100% accuracy and does 6 damage per attack, but I want to do something on this channel that has to do with making a video game as well. I've tried. I think there's still playlists up there, but those I've had to swerve for reasons. So again, I can't exactly say, or I'm not willing to say. For you, the consumer, you don't know. You don't know if what I'm saying is true or false. So at this point, you could just say, "Well, Jordan, you're just speaking out of thin air." Which to that, I can't really argue. So again, you're just taking me at my word. Now, I could put down receipts and whatnot in terms of, hey, this is what I'm working on. I think I've tried to say that much, and those do exist on my channel. Mainly a lot of starting and not a lot of finishing. For various reasons, more of my projects have not finished. That much I'll say. And some of them have been failures, so I'm willing to say as well. So to that end, there's nothing really much else to say. I've said that a few times now, but there is really nothing much else to say until I have something to show you. So meanwhile, we're here in this video, and part of the reason why I've just been talking about game development during this video is just to show what I'm capable of. Now, you could also, if we're just to completely talk about paranoia and whatnot, you could just say, well, Jordan, you're just commentating over this. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can only prove so much. Also, am I on ill-fated, by the way? I'm on ill-fated. I didn't even notice that. But anywho, again, anyone could say anything. Let's just be real. On the internet, you could fabricate anything. At the same time, after a certain point, you kind of have to believe what you see on screen, and especially when someone's streaming, you're more inclined to believe because things happen in the moment. So there's not really much else you can do. Unfortunately, that leads to certain things that are that happen sometimes to people that is not so great, but I mean, that's just, I mean, I don't feel that's fair to say that sometimes it's, oh, you know, the argument that is, oh, the internet exists or video games exist, because by that nature, how do I want to call it? I guess, without sounding insane, let me think of something. I guess we'll call it the pillow argument, the pillow invention argument. I don't really know what else to call it, but basically it goes like this. No matter what humankind makes, almost every example of it, and I think I have 13 strength, so I pass this no matter what. I also need another pack of cigarettes, but so hold on. Never mind, that's right, we're on ill-fated. I totally forgot. But yeah, so say whoever invented the pillow, pillows can be used for nefarious purposes. Now, is that the pillow's fault? No, but if you go to certain extremes, you can then say things like this. Then usually you would hear, you know, things that you would consider dangerous are used for bad purposes at times. And while that is true, you could also say the same of a lot of other stuff. Now, do certain inventions, in this case, let's be more on topic here. Do violent video games, do they have some effect? I don't doubt that. Whoever invented the pillow, probably there's little to no chance of such, I guess, well, how do I say? Not proportions, but such similarities being made between, hey, bad things happen here, it's because of X, which happens to contain violence or explicit nature or, you know, things of an adult nature. And so therefore, you know, we should curb down on that. That's not to say that that doesn't happen. I'm just saying, if you go to the flip side, you could also argue the same for things that seem relatively safe, but are actually, you know, also capable of being used for purposes not that the person, whoever's involved in, say, the invention of, did not intend for things to be used that way. And to that extent, if we're going to go that far, then things that, you know, certain things can also be used for good, I guess, is what we're trying to say. Or at least there are things to take away from things that may have bad connotations. I mean, if nothing else, to understand, to not repeat the mistakes of the past. That's, again, I'm being very generic here, both for robots and just because I'm a coward and I want to be safe, but I can't afford to take any risks. But I'm not saying anything that's going to incite or persuade anyone to do any harm. That I will feel confident in. So without further ado, let's just ascend this lighthouse, and yeah, that's just been this Cultist run. I'm glad to have seen you here. There's not really much else to say, for sure this time, as I take 3 Doom from Takshisan here, but it, you know, just look at where I'm at. For those who don't know, if you reach the lighthouse with under 70% Doom, or you're about to ascend with 70% Doom and you have at least 10 stamina and reason, you're 99% likely to survive. The only reason why it's not certain is because sometimes you have something like, say, Cut Artery, and you are at 10 stamina, but then you fail every stamina check, and then you lose by stamina before you even reach the 4th floor. But without further ado, that's been this run. I hope you've enjoyed whatever this is, and I'll see you later. Bye! Thank you for watching.